If you're thinking about buying the AGM Glory G1S, hold on. Today, I'm giving you an honest review that uncovers the real problems hidden behind its fancy features. But here's what surprised me. This rugged smartphone, which promises thermal imaging and extreme durability, isn't all it's cracked up to be. You might expect it to dominate every outdoor adventure, but the truth, it falls short in some critical areas that you really need to know about before spending your money. Let's dive deep and unravel what's really going on with this device, and why it might not be your best buy. So, who exactly is the AGM Glory G1S for? If you're an adventurer, a tech enthusiast craving thermal imaging, or someone in need of a phone tough enough for extreme environments, this one might have caught your eye. With features like a thermal imaging camera measuring objects up to 5 meters, and an IP68, IP69K rating promising waterproof and dustproof protection. It sounds ideal, right? But as I've dug into the details and user reviews, it turns out the device's performance might leave some serious doubts. First, let's talk about the thermal imaging camera. On paper, the AGM Glory G1S boasts a top-tier resolution of 256*192 pixels with a refresh rate of 25 FPS. Sounds impressive for a rugged phone, especially bundled with a 48MP main camera and additional sensors including 20MP infrared night, 16MP front, and a 2MP macro camera. This setup seems like a camera enthusiast's dream and a perfect spy gadget for when you're out on the trail. However, the reality is a bit different. Users have reported that while the thermal functionality works, the resolution isn't exactly groundbreaking. The 256*192 pixels, though marketed as top tier, fall behind dedicated thermal cameras on the market. If crystal-clear thermal sensing is your priority, this phone might disappoint. Rehook, but is the thermal camera the only disappointment? Nope, not by a long shot. Stick around because the core of this phone's rugged promise might actually be its weakest link. Next, the build quality and durability. This phone carries an IP68 and IP69K rating and military-grade MIL STD 810H certification, promising dust resistance, waterproofing up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, and drop resistance from 1.2 meters height. Those specs should satisfy any outdoor enthusiast or prospector, right? Well, theoretically yes, but in practice, some users have encountered issues with waterproof performance and durability tests. For example, the waterproof claim is often tested by consumers in less than ideal conditions, with reports of water damage under situations that should have been covered. Is the phone faulty right out of the box, or is it just not living up to its advertising? That's a question only AGM can answer properly. But beware, if your job or hobby literally depends on your phone surviving harsh conditions, this uncertainty might be a deal breaker. Here's where it gets weirder. Let's talk about connectivity. The AGM Glory G1S sports a Snapdragon 480 octa-core processor with 8 GB RAM and 128 GB internal storage. Sounds fast, right? It even supports 5G standby, except there's a twist. This phone is T-Mobile only, supporting just 5G NR on the N41 band. So if your carrier isn't T-Mobile or you expect global 5G coverage, you're out of luck. It's like buying a Ferrari but finding out it only runs on a very special type of fuel available in one country. Not very practical if you're planning to use this phone everywhere. For the price, this carrier restriction is a significant limitation you have to consider. Rehook, but wait, there's more. Let's talk battery life, because in a rugged phone this is supposed to be king. Does the AGM Glory G1S deliver true endurance? Featuring a 5500 mAh battery, the AGM Glory G1S promises long battery life, with fast 18W charging and even cradle charging options, though the charging dock is sold separately. That capacity sounds solid. After all, the last thing you want mid-expedition is a dead phone. However, some users have lamented that despite the large battery, actual endurance sometimes falls short, likely due to heavy thermal imaging processes or software inefficiencies. And while the cradle charging is a neat accessory, needing to buy it separately adds to the overall cost, a little like buying a pizza and then realizing you have to pay extra for the cheese. Additionally, fast charging at 18W is not exactly blazing fast by today's standards. Speaking of software, the phone runs on Android 11, which is good for compatibility and updates, but given its release timing, many would expect Android 12 or later. It's a minor gripe, but for tech lovers wanting the latest, the slightly outdated OS could be a drawback. Plus, user reports mention some bloatware and occasional lags, which seems odd considering the decent spec sheet. Now, if we step back and look at the bigger picture, price versus value. The AGM Glory G1S comes with a modest to high price tag, but its Amazon rating sits at an average of 3.7 stars. That's not terrible, but it's also not glowing, especially for a phone marketed with such niche capabilities. You might wonder if the investment is justified, or if you're better off with other rugged phones that don't make as many promises but deliver more consistently. Rehook, want to hear something unexpected? Despite its flaws, there's a silver lining here that may surprise you. Here's the thing. The AGM Glory G1S gives you thermal imaging and decent performance in one compact package, which is unique. Few smartphones at its price point offer built-in thermal cameras. If your budget is tight and thermal imaging is a must-have, this phone could be a gateway. It's like buying a gym membership but only using the treadmill. You might not get the full experience, but it gets you moving. And for certain professional use cases, like field work in forestry or electrical inspections, the Glory G1S's thermal camera could be a handy bonus. Plus, it's rugged, so it stands up better than most standard phones if you're clumsy or often outdoors. Even if it falls short of perfection, it's a convenient all-in-one device instead of carrying multiple tools. Now for a quick laugh. Why did the rugged phone break up with its charger? It felt neglected because the charger was always unplugged. Okay, back to serious talking. If you're someone who values sleek design and flagship speed over raw toughness and thermal functions, the Glory G1S will probably frustrate you. But if you want a workhorse phone that can survive drops, dust, and rain, and occasionally help you see heat signatures when you're chasing ghosts in the woods or checking for electrical leaks, it might actually serve you well. Just don't expect flawless performance or global 5G freedom. This phone has its limits. Another quick joke, what do you call a phone that loves to go camping? A selfie. I promise these puns are almost as rugged as the G1S almost. Before I wrap up, let's talk usability. Does it feel bulky or unwieldy? Reviews say its weight and size are significant compared to mainstream smartphones, but that's common among rugged devices. It's almost like carrying a brick that's also a smartphone. If portability is a priority, consider this carefully. And what about customer support? AGM offers 24/7 support and encourages buyers to reach out if they run into questions. That's a plus. When dealing with specialized tech, responsive service becomes crucial. However, some users have noted delayed responses or shipping issues, which can add frustration. Rehook. Wrapping up, if the AGM Glory G1S could enroll in a class, it would probably be Advanced Rough and Ready 101 with an elective in thermal imaging mishaps. It's tough, it's got thermal, but the execution leaves room for improvement. To sum up, the AGM Glory G1S is a rugged smartphone with cool features like thermal imaging and solid battery life. Great for outdoor enthusiasts who need durability and a bit of tech magic. But it comes with deal-breaking carrier restrictions, inconsistent waterproof reliability, and thermal camera performance that doesn't always live up to expectations. Its Android version and overall performance are solid but not standout. If you're considering this phone, ask yourself, do I need thermal imaging on a budget, and can I live with being tied to T-Mobile? And are you ready to trade off sleek design for rugged functionality? Despite these quirks, the AGM Glory G1S remains a unique device that fills a niche: fun, functional, rugged, but imperfect. If you're ready to embrace its strengths and forgive its flaws, it could be a worthwhile investment for your adventures. And for those still curious, the best price for the AGM Glory G1S is linked below in the description. Check it out and decide if it's the rugged sidekick you need. Remember, every gadget has its wild side. This one just wears it on its armored sleeve. Last joke for the road: why don't phones ever get lost in the forest? Because their signals always branch out. Thanks for sticking with me through this rugged review. Hit that like button if you found this helpful, and don't forget to subscribe for more honest tech takes. See you in the next one.